Welcome back to Gyan Gatha. In the fourth episode of Devi Mahatmyam, we saw the fascinating story of the slaughter of Mahishasura, his generals, and their armies, and a glimpse of its inner meaning. As I had mentioned in the second episode, the various facets mentioned there are a key to understanding the Devi Mahatmyam. I would once again urge you all to watch the concepts mentioned in the second episode before continuing with this one. A relook at the third episode will also help you all analyze the story that would be narrated in this episode. The links for all the episodes are given below in the description box. We will break the Uttam Charitra in two parts. In this episode, we will take its first part, which will describe the battles between the Asuras and the Devi. And in the next episode, we will take its second part to understand its inner meaning. So, let's begin with this episode. In the Uttam Charitra, Rishi Medha narrates the story of the demons Shumbha and Nishumbha to Raja Surat and Vyapari Samadhi. The story is covered in chapters 5 to 10 of the Devi Mahatmyam text. Chapter 5 talks about Devas invoking Devi. Chapter 6 explains slaying of Dhumralochan. Chapter 7 tells us slaying of Chand and Mund. Chapter 8 talks about slaying of Raktabij. Chapter 9 describes slaying of Nishumbha. And Chapter 10 tells us about the slaying of Shumbha. This time the cast of characters is much larger and the metaphorical significance is subtle, but definitely not difficult to comprehend. Let's start with Chapter 5 of Uttam Charitra, Devas invoking Devi. Once upon a time, two Asuras, Shumbh and Nishumbha, had dispossessed Devas of their powers and took over their wealth and privilege. Deprived of their lordships, the gods thought of the invincible Devi, who had granted them the boon that whenever in any calamity they would think of her with pure heart, she would put an end to their problems. They went to Himavat, who was Lord of Mountains, and extolled the Devi. This extolling is the third hymn in the text, also known as Aparajita Stuti or Tantrika Devi Suktam, consisting 20 shlokas beginning with Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu, indicating presence of Devi in all creatures. For example, Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Chetna Rupena Sanstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Similarly, the goddess is praised as consciousness, power, intellect, memory, sleep, delusion, desire, activity, prosperity, forgiveness, faith, loveliness, etc. This beautiful hymn is a powerful meditation by itself, a combination of meditation, affirmation, and mantra. While the gods were engaged in praising the Devi, Parvati came to bathe in waters of Ganga and asked the Devas who was being extolled. An auspicious goddess sprung forth from Parvati's body sheath or kosha and spoke that this hymn is addressed to me by Devas defeated in battle by Shumbha Nishumbha. Since Devi emerged from the body sheath, she is glorified as Kaushiki, and after she came forth, Parvati turned dark and was called Kalika and took abode on Mount Himalaya. While the Devi Ambika emerged, Chand and Mund, who were the servants of demon Shumbha Nishumbha, saw her charming beauty. They described the beauty of Ambika to Shumbha and Nishumbha and asked them to ascertain who the goddess was and take possession of her. They described the Devi to Shumbha Nishumbha as follows. O great king, a certain woman who, surpassingly beautiful, resides there, shedding luster on Mount Himalaya. Nobody has ever seen such supreme beauty anywhere. Ascertain who that goddess is and take possession of her, O Lord of Asuras. A gem among women of exceedingly lovely limbs stands, making the quarters luminous by her luster. You ought to see her, O Lord, whatever things are there in the three worlds. All of them, gems, jewels, elephants, horses, etc., are now in your mansion. You've seized every precious possession from the likes of Indra, Brahma, Kubera, Varuna, and Yama. Nishumbh has all kinds of gems born in the ocean. Agni too has given you a pair of garments purified by fire. Thus, O Lord of Asuras, all gems have been seized by you. Why this auspicious lady, a jewel among women, has not been taken by you? Having heard these words, Shumbha asked Asura Sugriva to go to Devi Ambika and convince her with words in a manner that she came to him quickly in love. Sugriv went to Devi as the messenger of Shumbha and praised Shumbha. He conveyed the message of Shumbh to Devi to either take him or his younger brother Nishumbh as her husband. Speaking calmly, Devi tells Sugriva that he has spoken the truth about Shumbh and Nishumbh and their accomplishments. However, he has to convey a promise she had made to herself. The promise was that he who conquers her in battle vanquishes her pride and is her match in strength in this world shall be her husband. So let either of them try to vanquish her and win her hand in marriage. Sugriva told Devi that she was haughty, and when the Devas could not defeat Shumbha and Nishumbha, then she was just a woman who stood no chance of winning against them. He told her to come with dignity, else she would be dragged by her hair. Devi agrees with Sugriva about the strength of Shumbha Nishumbha, but tells him that she is bound by her vow and that Sugriva must convey her message to Shumbh Nishumbha. And thus ends chapter 5 of Uttam Charitra. Let's now see chapter 6 of Uttam Charitra, naming Slaying of Dhumralochan. Sugriva went back with this message. The enraged Asura king told Dhumralochan, who was a chieftain of Daityas, to assemble an army and fetch Devi by dragging Devi by her hair and slay anyone who stands in the way. Dhumralochan with 60,000 force approached Devi and asked her to surrender, else she would be taken by force. Devi told him that he, the lord of Daityas, was strong and backed by a huge army. If he wanted to take her by force, then what could she do? On hearing this, Dhumralochan rushed towards her, but the goddess reduced him to ashes by a mere heave of breath, called Hunkar. His army, which tried to attack the Devi, was destroyed by the Devi's lion. Hearing this, Asur Shumbh was furious and commanded mighty Asuras Chand and Mund to go with large forces and get the Devi by dragging her by her hair, and if that was not possible, then strike her. When she gets wounded and her lion is stricken down, then he should bind her and bring her quickly. This is where chapter 6 of Uttam Charitra ends. Now let's see chapter 7 of Uttam Charitra, which is called Slaying of Chand and Mund. Chand and Mund marched in fourfold array, fully armed. They saw Devi smiling gently, seated upon her lion on a lofty golden peak of the great mountain. On seeing her, some made efforts to capture, while others approached her. Enraged by this, Devi turned dark as ink and from her forehead emerged Kali of terrible countenance, armed with sword and noose, holding a strange skull-topped staff, wearing garland of skulls, clad in tiger skin, deep sunk reddish eyes, tongue lolling out fearfully, and a gaping mouth. She slaughtered the army of Asuras in a moment, devouring some, crushing others, chewing most frightfully with her teeth. Seeing this, Chand ran towards Kali, hurling arrows, while Mund hurled discus in thousands at her eyes. Kali just swallowed the discuses, mounted the lion, and rushed at Chand. She seized him by his hair and severed his head with her sword. Hearing this, Mund also rushed at her but was also killed. Seeing them killed, the rest of the Asur army fled. Holding the heads of Chand and Mund, Kali went to Devi Ambika and told her that Ambika will have to kill Shumb Nishumb herself. Thereupon, Ambika playfully told Kali that, "As you have brought me both Chand and Mund, you, O Devi, shall be famed in the world by the name Chamunda." And now, this is where the 7th chapter of Uttam Charitra ends. Let's now understand chapter 8 of Uttam Charitra, which is Slaying of Raktabij. Hearing the defeat of Chand and Mund and their armies, the mighty Shumb, with intellect clouded by rage, commanded the marshalling of all Asura armies, comprising Udhayudha, Kambu, Kotivirya, Dhaumra, Kalak, Daurat, Maurya, and Kalkeya, and set out. Seeing this, Chandika filled Tribhuvan with twangs of her bowstring. Lion roared loudly, amplified further by clanging of bells. Hearing it, the Asura armies surrounded Ambika. Meanwhile, in order to ensure annihilation of Asuras, Shaktis emerged from the bodies of Brahma, Shiva, Guha, Vishnu, and Indra. Whatever was the form of the Godhead, whatever his ornaments and vehicle, in that very form his Shakti advanced to fight the Asuras. These Shaktis were Brahmani from Brahma, carrying rosary and kamandalu, Maheshwari from Shiva, riding a bull, holding the great trident, huge serpents for bangles and digit of moon as ornament, Kaumari from Guha, riding a peacock, wielding a spear, Vaishnavi from Vishnu, riding Garuda, holding conch, club, bow, and sword, Varahi, and Narsimhi, half woman and lioness, thousand-eyed Aindri from Indra, holding thunderbolt, riding an elephant. Thereupon, Shiva told Chandika to kill all Asuras forthwith. She in turn asked Shiva to be her messenger and tell Shumba Nishumba to return the wealth of all Devas and go to netherworld if they want to live. Since she appointed Shiva as her messenger, she is also called Shivduti. This further enraged the Asuras, who commenced attacking. The Shaktis started destroying the Asura armies, and seeing the armies fleeing, a great Asura Raktabij strode forward. Whenever a drop of a blood from Raktabij fell on ground, a great Asura of his own stature would spring forth. All the Shaktis attacked Raktabij, but his unique ability prevented them from killing him, while hundreds of Asuras came into being from the drops of Raktabij, blood falling on the ground. Chandika told Kali to keep her mouth wide open and take in all the drops of blood generated by the blow of her weapon, as also devour the Asuras in the battlefield. Thus, losing all blood, the great Asura Raktabij finally fell dead. And this is where the 8th chapter of Uttam Charitra ends. Let's now see chapter 9 of Uttam Charitra, which is Slaying of Nishumbh. Seeing Raktabid's slaughter, Shumbh and Nishumbh gave way to unbound wrath. They both, with chief forces of Asuras on their sides, arrived to slay Chandika. Thus began the battle between Chandika on one side and Shumbh Nishumbh on the other. A fierce fight ensued. Asura Nishumbh, bloated with anger, seized the spear, and that also, as it came, the goddess powdered with a blow of her fist. Then goddess laid the advancing Nishumbh to the ground, striking him with a torrent of arrows. When the mighty Nishumbh was thus laid flat on the ground, the exceedingly angry Shumbh set out to slay Ambika. In hundreds and thousands, the goddess and Shumbh split the arrows shot by each other. Then the enraged Chandika struck him with a spear. Wounded therewith, Shumbh fainted and fell to the ground. Nishumbh seized his bow and struck with arrows. Finally, Devi pierced the heart of Nishumbh, and while another person was coming forth, severed his head as well. Her lion devoured other Asuras, while other Shaktis put to naught many Asuras. And this completes chapter 9 of Uttam Charitra. Let's now see the last chapter of Uttam Charitra, which is Slaying of Shumbh. Seeing his brother Nishumbh die, Shumbh challenged Devi to fight alone and not use strength of other Devis. The Devi tells him, "In this universe, I alone exist. Who else is there besides me? Look, O wicked one, these manifestations, manifested by own power, have been withdrawn. Now I stand alone in the battlefield. Be steadfast in combat." Then the most fierce battle ensued. While all the Devas and Asuras looked on, with showers of arrows, with sharp weapons and frightful missiles, both engaged again in a combat that frightened all the worlds. The Asura king broke the hundreds of divine missiles that the goddess launched with neutralizing weapons. The great goddess too playfully destroyed all the celestial missiles shot by him. In the fierce combat that ensued, the goddess destroyed Shumbha's weapons one by one, then his horses, chariot, bow, and mace, fighting gallantly. In spite of the last of his weapons being destroyed by the goddess, Shumbh continued fighting using hands. Finally, goddess chucked him down to the earth, piercing his chest with spear. When that wicked one was slain, everything became clear and propitious. The universe regained its original state of perfect peace, and the sky became clear. Flaming potent clouds that were in evidence earlier vanished, and the rivers kept within their courses after Shumbha's collapse. As he had been slain, the minds of all the hosts of gods were filled with joy, and the celestial musicians named Gandharvas sang sweetly. Others played with their musical instruments, and the flock of celestial nymphs, that is Apsaras, danced. Likewise, the winds blew favorably, and the sun became magnificent. And this is where the last chapter of Uttam Charitra ends. Here we come to an end of the story depicted in the Uttam Charitra of the Devi Mahatmyam. In the next episode, we will try to decipher the metaphoric meaning of each of the characters described in this myth. In the next episode, we will have a glimpse at the deeper meaning of Uttam Charitra of the Devi Mahatmyam. Stay connected with us on Gyan Gatha. Thank you.